Greetings and welcome to the Planning Commission regular meeting, April 3rd, 2025. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Pearson.
Here.
Willenbring.
Here.
Campbell.
Present.
Diata.
Here.
McCauley.
Here.
Hagan.
Here.
Wilson noted that he will not be in attendance for this meeting.
Thank you very much. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll look for approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any changes that they wish to suggest for their minutes?
No.
Then I look for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Abstain as well.
That's, of course, true.
Yep.
Now is the time for open forum, which is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to make comment, if they wish, on something that is not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, we will discuss it at that time. Anyone wish to come forward to make comments? I offer a second time for anyone to come forward. And seeing none, I close the open forum, if I've opened it, and proceed to old business, which is none, and new business. Public hearing, Baker, 7880 44th Street Court North, conditional use permit for a second garage. Who will present for us tonight?
That'll be me.
Be Max, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, and good evening. For us tonight, we have a request for a second garage through the conditional use permit process at 7880 44th Street North. So this is located in the Sunborough development off of Ideal Avenue and 44th Street. The zoning is PUD as a part of the Sunborough development, which does follow the standards for the R1 district, very low density housing, where garages are allowed, second garages are allowed via CUP. The applicant here is seeking to add a new detached garage. Per the city code, single-family homes are permitted to have one garage by right, and additional garages are permitted through conditional use permit. The property as a whole is approximately 1 acre in size and contains a single-family home with an existing attached garage. Here we have the site plan for the applicant's plans to add a garage. The applicant plans to use the garage mainly for storage of tools, gardening equipment, and parking. As you can see, the garage would be located just a bit southeast of the house. And given that the lot size is quite large, the site plan shows that all setback requirements are met with over 80-foot setbacks for most portions of the parcel. Additionally, the applicant has stated that the garage would not exceed height limits. Here we have formal plans for the garage structure. The garage contains 2 stories and would feature a balcony on the second story. When we first saw the plans, staff was concerned that there may be a residential use occurring within it, possibly an accessory dwelling unit. However, when speaking with the applicant, they informed us that the Sunborough HOA requires that new accessory buildings be more residential in style and fit in with the guidelines of the community. Additionally, given that the property is on a septic system, extending the septic system to serve this building would be unfeasible. Further, we do also have a condition prohibiting the use of the building as a dwelling unit within the resolution on file. As a reminder, conditional use permits are subject to certain review criteria found in the city's ordinance. Here's a summary of the review criteria we must use in our evaluation. Compliance with the comprehensive plan, compatibility with surrounding zoning, no nuisance effects, no traffic congestion or parking issues, adequate service for public services, no excessive costs incurred by the public, and minimal impacts to the environment or natural features. Specific for additional accessory structures, the lot can't be further subdivided, no pole barn construction is allowed, no door may exceed 10 feet in height, and no commercial or industrial uses can occur within the structure. Staff finds that the CUP review criteria has been satisfied as detailed in the staff report on file. Staff is recommending approval of the request, subject to the following conditions. The applicant shall obtain a building permit. The garage shall meet setback and height requirements. The garage shall not exceed 1,000 square feet in size, and the garage shall not be used as a dwelling unit. As a reminder, this is a public hearing, and the applicant is here with us in attendance. I want to note as well that we did receive one written comment in support of this request, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
So thank you. Just a question here. I understand that based on the report, it's not going to be used for residential purposes. I see, if you go to the elevation plans there, the bottom left, I see a door there. Is that a door to the deck on the second floor? Is there a door?
I do believe there is a door to the second floor balcony, and we can also ask the applicant as well.
Okay. And are they intending to use it for sort of like entertainment? Obviously, there's a porch there. There's going to be some activity there. They're going to be using it to hang out at least or something?
I'm unsure of that exactly. I'm not sure if it'll be served by electricity or not. I would defer to the applicant on that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
If I may, just to comment on that, it looks like that deck is just a connecting, kind of a passageway to an at-grade, right, because there's a grade change there of probably
Pretty good size creature.
10 to 12 feet. So I think it's just a way to access that second level from that upper grade. Because when you look at it, it's
Or an
only,
alternate entrance to the building.
yeah, I
from
mean,
the house.
it's 4 feet wide,
Okay.
so.
Any other questions? Okay, if the applicant wishes to make comment, please come forward. State your name and address, of course.
My name is Bob Baker, 7880 44th Street Court North. Just the comment that this really became something we felt we really needed to move forward on. Last spring, we sold our lake home up near Spooner, Wisconsin, and as a consequence, we brought lawn tractors and riding lawnmowers and table saws and compound miter saws and all kinds of gardening equipment, and there's really no place to put them. They're taking up car space right now, and so that's going to become our sort of my hobby shop, my workshop, and my wife's gardening shop.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant? My only question would be a verification on, is it, just out of curiosity, is the balcony actually going to be used as an entryway as you come down from the house?
That's what it is, a little, basically a gangplank, a bridge that'll come across from the higher grade to go straight into the upper level of the,
Thank you.
yeah.
Are you building that into the wall, the hill itself?
Yeah, we're going to excavate basically an L-shaped slab that will, pour the concrete in, and then we'll have a wall behind it.
The entrance to that garage is going to be kind of tight going up that hill and turning, isn't it?
We're going to have to do some changing along to get the pathway in.
Yeah.
Although technically it's a garage, we're not going to be using it for a garage. My daughter, which she lives in Texas, if she drives up, we might use it for then, but otherwise we'll just put the cars in our existing garage.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? See none? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any final questions from the commission? Seeing none?
Mr. Chair, just want to make sure that we open and close the public hearing.
Oh, is there a public hearing on this one? Okay. Open the public hearing. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to make comment on this issue? And again, if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to make comment on the issue, please come forward. Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Thank you for pointing that out. So I'll look for a motion to recommend approval of the conditional use permit for an additional garage at 7880 44th Street Court North.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion passes. Second item, public hearing for Astoria Oak Marsh, 8001 4th Street North, variance and preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the location of the site It's a proposed development at 8001 4th Street, and it consists of 5 acres for this specific development. However, the subdivision that accompanies the request, that actually includes Oak Meadows, the senior living building there. So the subdivision consists of approximately 20 acres, whereas just the development site that we're mostly focused on is roughly 5 acres. So this property is located approximately 1/2 mile from the new Helmo Station for the Gold Line. Of course, the Gold Line just opened back in March 22nd, just a couple weeks ago. The purpose of this request is to establish an 89-unit senior living cooperative. So in general, co-op members own a share of the building as opposed to owning their individual units or lots. The developer states that the units will be market rate, or in other words, they are not income restricted. The building will be 4 stories tall with 1 level of underground parking. And the zoning for this site is R5, that's high-density housing where multi-family developments are allowed. The comp plan guidance for this site is high-density residential. The proposed density of this senior co-op building is approximately 17 dwelling units per acre, which is consistent with the comp plan's allowed density range of 8 to 30 dwelling units per acre. So access to the site, there are 2 proposed accesses off 4th Street and 1 emergency vehicle access off Ideal Avenue. I'll show that in just a moment. So moving on, here is a look at the proposed subdivision plat. So although, as I mentioned, the development site itself, which is shown as Lot 1 for the senior co-op building, that's about 5 acres. The entirety of the plat is roughly 20 acres. And this is because the Oak Meadow site has to be replatted. It has to be brought into conformance with the city's zoning regulations. So currently there's a line, the property line bisects the Oak Meadows building. So this plat will help correct that. It will shift that lot line further north so that the building now, or it will meet setback requirements. So the plat will create 2 lots. So lot 1, again, is for the senior co-op building, lot 2 for the existing Oak Meadows senior structure, and then 2 outlots. So there's 2 wetland areas, 1 on the south portion of the lot and then 1 in the central area of the property. Those 2 wetland areas have to be platted as outlots, and then they will be deeded to the city for future ownership and maintenance. So as part of the platting and subdivision process, and also in accordance with state law, the city is able to require park dedication payment for this development. Now, moving on to the site plan, I want to point out a few things here. The 2 accesses are off 4th Street, as I mentioned. The emergency access, which is mainly will be used for fire trucks, other large public safety vehicles to better ingress and egress from the site. It's not shown on this image. It will be shown on the next image. The underground parking entrance will be on the east side of the building. There are a number of site amenities, and probably the developer could explain those better than I can, but you can see that there are some here in the kind of the south and east portion, or to the south and to the east of the building. There's a couple pickleball courts here to the east. And then there are 2 stormwater basins, 1 here to the south and then 1 to the east of the proposed building. The developer is seeking a variance to deviate from 3 of the city's zoning standards. So number 1 is building height, number 2 is setbacks, and number 3 is minimum lot size. So in terms of the building height, the R5 zoning district limits buildings to 40 feet in height. So the proposed average building height of this structure is 46 feet, and there is 1 portion of the height that will be about 62 feet, and that's the gable truss, the northwest corner of the building. You'll be able to see that better in the elevations. For setbacks, the required setback is based on the average building height, which again, that's 46 feet. Those setbacks will be met with this site from all property lines, with the exception of just a small portion here on the northwest corner. There's a little bit of a bump out. So the proposed setback there from that bump out is 35 feet. And again, the required setback is 46. Minimum lot size, the R5 district requires a minimum lot size, which is based on the composition of the units. So for example, 2,000 square feet are needed per each studio unit, and then 3,000 square feet for 1 or 2 bedrooms, and then I believe it's 3,500 square feet for every 3-bedroom unit. So based on the unit composition, 6.15 acres is needed. the proposed lot size here for this senior co-op building is 5.1 acres. And the developer did note that there's an update in what's shown in the staff report. It says that this lot is about 5.5 acres, but the developer ran the calculations for the wetland and the outlot that has to be platted here. So it's actually closer to 1.5 acres for this proposed lot. So given the irregular shape of the property and the presence of environmentally sensitive features, including wetlands, slopes, significant trees, approving a variance request to exceed the R5 district's height requirement, the setbacks, and the minimum lot size appears appropriate from the city staff's perspective in order to allow and accommodate the proposed development. Furthermore, other recent residential projects built within the city, all of which have been actually PUD or planned unit development, they have exceeded these standards in very similar manners. And then staff finds that the criteria for approving a variance have been met as this request. I'll summarize the criteria here. Number one, it's consistent with the comp plan. Number two, it appears in alignment with the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance. Number three, the use appears reasonable in manner not permitted by the ordinance. Number four, the circumstances are unique to the property and are not created by the property owner. And number five, the essential character of the area will not be changed. Moving on to parking, the parking requirements for this site have been met. So the city zoning code requires 1 space per dwelling unit for senior housing. However, the initial development can be as low as 0.5 spaces per dwelling unit. The proposed parking for the site is a total of 139 spaces, so that's 114 covered or underground spaces, and then 25 surface parking spaces. Continuing on with tree preservation regulations, so the city's tree ordinance allows up to 35% of significant trees to be removed, and when we say significant, it's based on the diameter of a tree or the height of a tree, depending on its species. And the developer, when they did their inventory, they identified 505 significant trees, and 270 of these trees are planned for removal in order to accommodate the development. That roughly results in about 49% of the significant trees on site having to be removed. The developer proposes installing 144 new trees in accordance with the trees replacement schedule, and that also accompanies their landscape plan. So staff finds that the developer's landscaping plan sufficiently satisfies the tree replacement requirements, as 51 additional trees would be planted beyond the minimum requirement. Just one note here, while I have this image up, there's an existing pedestrian infrastructure there, their walking trail rather, that serves Oak Meadows, and it looks like that the developer will preserve that, and it'll be a feature for both Oak Meadows and this proposed senior co-op. So this image here, the paving plan, it clearly shows where the proposed vehicular accesses are for this development. Again, 2 accesses off 4th Street and then the emergency access off Ideal Avenue. So this is a mountable curb or mountable concrete curb, and it's intended only for emergency vehicles. The fire department did note that it's going to be important to prohibit or make sure that vehicles are not blocking this access, either off Ideal or within the cul-de-sac there. So, so that emergency vehicles can properly utilize it. So as such, the developer must install signage that prohibits parking along the curb line. Moving on to sidewalks, the city's bicycle and pedestrian plan identifies the need for sidewalks to be built along the east side of Ideal Avenue and along the south side of 4th Street. And the main purpose of this is to encourage walkability and connect the area to the nearby Helmo Station. There's also a new park that's being built less than a quarter mile to the west, if you recall from the Enclave development that went before the Planning Commission a few months back. And additionally, the city's subdivision regulations also enable the city to require pedestrian ways to be built as part of this development. And as such, the developer must update their plans to include sidewalks in accordance with city standards along the east side of Ideal Avenue and the south side of 4th Street. So next I'll show some of the elevations of the proposed building. So this is the north elevation, or the side of the building that will face 4th Street. So this image is broken into 2 parts in order to show some of the building's detail. So currently there are no specific requirements related to exterior building materials for property under conventional zoning. And when we see multifamily buildings being subject to exterior design standards, those that we've seen in the past few years have all been under PUD zoning, so they have special regulations. Now, under the forthcoming zoning code, which we expect will be adopted later this summer, this type of building would be subject to, or would likely be subject to, exterior design standards as a multifamily structure. However, the design elements of this proposed building should be considered as they relate to the developer's variance request to exceed building height and setback standards. And with that, staff finds that the building's architectural elements, including varying roof lines, roof accents, the building has a distinguished front entrance, and the building also incorporates different types of exterior building materials such as stone veneer, fiber cement, and concrete masonry units. That all helps to enhance the appearance of the multi-story building. And, some more elevations here to follow. So here's a look. The top left image is a portion of the building's south facade, and then the top right and bottom images are the elevations, the east side elevations of the building that will face Oak Meadows. And I would like to note that the east side of the building will have the underground parking. And I would also like to point out that that the units will have balconies. So 2 more images here showing the south elevation, which would face just a handful of single-family homes. And finally, here's a look at the west elevation, which will face Ideal Avenue. I would like to note that the developer must provide updated plans to show the location of any rooftop and ground-level mechanical equipment and the methods of screening them, as well as exterior trash enclosure areas and methods of screening those as well. Just returning back to the site plan, just as we engage in some questions and answers here, comments. But to conclude, staff finds that the developer's request for a variance, preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan are consistent with the city's comp plan and the city's ordinance as detailed in the staff report on file. And therefore, staff recommends approval of this request, subject to the conditions that are found in the resolutions that are in the agenda packet. And I will read them. So the first resolution is found on page 38 of the packet. So this is the final plat and prelim plat for Oak Marsh. So there are 11 conditions, so bear with me here while I summarize those as best I can. So number 1 is approval of a variance to exceed building setbacks and minimum lot standards. Number 2, approval of a site plan. Number 3, execution of a development agreement. Number 4, approval of the site civil construction plans by the city engineer. Number 5, satisfaction of park dedication requirements. Number 6, adherence to the city attorney's plat opinion and recording instructions. Number 7, the developer must revise the plat to designate both wetland areas and their buffers as outlots, and those outlots shall be deeded to the city. Number 8, installation of sidewalks along the east side of Ideal Avenue and the south side of 4th Street. Number 9, the developer must include a 10-foot wide easement along the easterly lot line of Lot 2, Block 1, so that's the Oak Meadows property, just ensuring that there's the proper easement there. Number 10, establish an easement for access to and maintenance of the north filtration basin. And number 11 is permits and approvals from outside agencies must be obtained by the developer. Moving on to the resolution on page 41, this is the variance. There are no conditions of approval. So I'll just skip on to the final resolution, and that is on page 43, and this is the site plan resolution for Oak Marsh. 10 conditions of approval here. I'll try to zip through them. So number 1, approval of a variance. 2, execution of a development agreement. 3, approval of the site civil construction plans. 4, installation of the sidewalks as mentioned. Number 5, installation of signage to prohibit parking along the curb line of the mountable concrete curb. Number 6, approval from the fire department for hydrant locations and fire department connections. Number 7, the developer must provide details on rooftop and ground mechanical equipment and methods of screening. Number 8, the developer must provide details on the location of external trash collection areas and methods of screening. Number 9, the site lighting or photometric plan must be revised to ensure that that site lighting is in accordance with the city's zoning standards. And number 10 is that permits and approvals must be obtained from outside agencies. So as a reminder, this is a public hearing. The developer, the development team is here if you have questions. Otherwise, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Any questions from the commissioners of Luke's report?
Not at this time.
Okay. So at this point, I'll offer the time to the developer to come forward if they wish.
It was a quick game of not it.
Yeah,
You won.
I drew the short straw earlier, yeah. Josh Kalman with Leap Development and Astoria Cooperatives. Just wanted to take a minute to thank you guys for your review of our project. It's been quite a process. We've been talking to Luke for a very long time. I think our council workshop was over a year ago now. So not without challenges, but definitely excited to be at this point and moving the project forward and looking forward to being a part of the city of Oakdale. So cooperatives are a unique housing type. Our sales team and marketing team have been working really diligently over that last year since we launched the project and are achieving good sort of benchmark check-ins. And so it's our hope that things will sort of align as we make it through, hopefully successfully through this process, that the sales will also align and we'll be able to close construction about the same time that they achieve our pre-sale requirement. So with that, myself, landscape architect, civil engineer, and architect are all represented here tonight in case there are any questions that you guys have. So thanks so much.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
I have one. Can you talk to us about trash, kind of how
Oh, yeah.
how that's going to move through the site, where it's located, things like that?
Yep, great question. Intended to address that because trash will actually be completely housed interior. And so there will be a trash and recycling chute inside of the building that will go from all floors down to the lower level parking garage where it will then be taken care of from that.
So then will a truck drive down that ramp and then back up?
Yeah, so I think the logistics of that, whether it backs down the ramp or whether it just pulls past the ramp and then the receptacles then would be pushed either up the ramp or just right into the truck if it's able to back down. Yep. Good question.
Anyone else have questions?
Thank you.
I guess you're off the hook. Thank you. At this point, then, I will open the public forum. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward to make comment on this issue?
Hi, I'm Alexander Pavlison. My address is 7825 3rd Street North. I am one of the tenants for the Oaks Business Park. I just wanted to, I'm sure you've already thought about these questions, but I just wanted to bring them up because it was right across the street. So the first one is about traffic control and whether the kind of uncontrolled intersections like Ideal and 4th, or there's several stop signs and things like that along the way along 4th Street, whether you're anticipating any changes being needed to those intersections as a result of the increased density. Because I know there have been a few residential areas and now with the senior co-op and lots of more people in that same space, whether you'll anticipate that change. And then along with that, just a reminder to consider the pedestrian safety as you consider the walkability of that space too. It's important that we not just add the sidewalks, but that as you're driving through that space, you have the right controlled intersections to have the pedestrians be safe when they're on the sidewalk. And then the second piece would be the environmental analysis. I'm not sure if that happens at this stage or if that already happened, but just considering like the water runoff, any short-term air quality concerns with the removal of those trees, stuff like that. Thank you.
I'm sure that the city planner will take those into consideration. Do you have any comments you wish to make at this time, Luke?
Yep, thank you, Chair. So in terms of traffic controls at the intersection, specifically there at Ideal and 4th Street. So the city engineer reviewed this request and there were no recommended improvements, no additional stop signs or any other traffic control measures there. So pedestrian safety, I mean, that's a great point, especially with the additional sidewalks there. We can huddle up as city staff and see if there's any additional improvements that we could suggest as part of this proposal. And then environmental considerations, in terms of the stormwater, stormwater runoff has to be addressed through on-site stormwater basins. And the site plan is not there on the screen yet, but it will be in just a moment. The two basins there, that they will ensure that the stormwater runoff is being managed accordingly. And the developer has to work with not just the city engineer, but also the watershed district to make sure that those are properly functioning stormwater basins. The other point about the trees, like I had mentioned in my staff presentation, in terms of the tree replacement, that the developer is exceeding the tree replacement schedule, so they're planting an additional 51 trees. So I guess what I can say, in addition just to the removal of trees, some level or some percentage of trees has to be allowed to be removed just to accommodate certain developments. And I know that the developer, they put together quite the extensive tree inventory for this site, and also just designed the site to minimize some of the impacts to the trees, especially to the south and to the southeast of the site as well.
Thank you. Anyone have any further questions?
Do have a couple more. It looks like these are pickleball courts. I assume those are unlit? Correct, okay. And then, Luke, you'd mentioned that there's going to be a mountable curb coming off of Ideal. So are we keeping 2 driveways onto 4th Street in addition to the mountable curb?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyone else? Then I will list the motions. Motion to recommend approval of the variance for Astoria Oak Marsh.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
I believe, do you have to close the public hearing, or?
You can close the public hearing since there's no one else in the audience coming forward. Again, motion to recommend approval of the variance for Astoria Oak Marsh.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Motion to recommend approval of the preliminary plat and final plat for Astoria Oak Marsh.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
And a motion to recommend approval of the site plan for Astoria Oak Marsh.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All 3 motions have been moved and passed. And we go on to staff liaison update.
Thank you, Chair. So do expect to have a planning commission meeting in May. And I think this summer is going to be incredibly busy just with the amount of development interest that we have trickling in. And then the other thing I want to know is that we have a couple, or actually 3 planning commission members whose terms are up in June. So I just want to connect with you, not here, but I'll follow up with some emails, some phone calls. So Commissioners Campbell, Hagan, and Diana. So, but
Already?
already, so we
Battled that.
no,
Hey.
yeah, we certainly appreciate your time on the commission, your contributions to the commission, and yeah, we'll be in contact about the terms and if you're interested in renewing. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any updates from anyone on the commission? Nope. Okay. Council liaison update. Ms. Willenbring.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just one quick thing. We were having a chit-chat and workshop about the commissions, and an issue came up about start times. And so I'm here to ask you if you would prefer to change your start time to something like 5:30 or 6 versus 7.
I like 7.
I know you do.
I'm fine with 7.
I'm kind of on the 7 side as well.
I like the 6.
I mean,
I would prefer it earlier, especially in the winter, but my term will be up soon, so.
I'm fine with 7. I think 5:30 is too early. We don't have that. It's like our meetings, it's 7:35 and we're going to be getting out of here.
We're not done yet.
We're close.
I would prefer earlier, but 7 is what it is, and it doesn't bother me.
Okay,
I think it makes it easier for the community too, if they gotta come into a meeting. If there's, coming in at 5, they're just getting home from work.
Or not home yet.
Yeah, or not home, so I think 7 gives them a better chance to actually make a meeting.
The other ones I see a lot in my day job is 6:30. I don't see much that starts before that. So if we were going to consider that, I would say 6:30.
would that work for everybody if we did 6:30? Just,
Yeah.
Is there a push for this?
Oh, yeah.
no, not necessarily, it's totally up to you guys.
I like 7.
I know,
How do you really feel?
6:30, I'm gonna go to
Yeah, 6:30 is a
Want to
little
sit on the couch.
bit, yeah, in the winter.
So does anyone have
hate the dark.
any pushing desire to change the time?
I don't have any pushing desire, would welcome it, but I'm not gonna make a deal of it.
I guess that's the summary.
okay, thank you. Any questions for me?
No.
No? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I got a question. I don't know if it goes to you or to Luke. This particular project sounds like it was talking, you guys were talking with them for a long time. Of what and we're just getting what we see tonight. How big of changes were there, or were there many changes from the original concept to where you are tonight?
So,
Or if you're allowed to say that, I should ask that.
I don't even recall. I don't remember if the front entrance was like that when we looked at it, but it was almost a year ago, wasn't it?
yes, the workshop, the council workshop was February of last year, I believe.
Okay.
I have that noted here, but now staff has been working with the developers for almost 3 years, I believe, at this point. So the discussion started even before I got here, so I don't know the full story or the extent of the changes, but I would say the majority of what was presented tonight looks a lot like what I saw when I started here at Oakdale almost 3 years ago. And the developer did mention that this is a very similar type build that they have elsewhere in the metro, so they didn't seem to deviate too much from what has been working for them elsewhere.
The only thing I could add on that is a comment about the traffic. My in-laws live at a Estoria facility down in Woodbury. Was a different vendor or a different management company before, but the traffic in and out of it is basically when people like me come in and visit, you almost never see anybody come in and out. So it's really light traffic.
I just want to speak to one more thing with the Astoria project. Part of the reason that it has taken up to upwards of 3 years is primarily financial in nature. As a part of the cooperative model, they do pre-sales. So that alone adds on quite a bit of time as they work with their marketing team.
Okay, I look for adjournment motion.
One question,
Okay,
Mr. Luke, can you give me an update of what's going on in the projects on Helmo Avenue, just south of 15th? There was an early childhood and a dog pound of some sort.
So the animal facility or companion animal, that request is going through the building permit process. It's under building permit review at this time. As far as we know, that they're still expecting construction sometime, possibly this summer. And then the Marlis Early Childhood Education Center, it's taking the developer a bit longer. I'm not quite sure why. Just they're operating on their timeline, but they're still intent on developing that site as well.
any further questions?
No, I'm done.
Okay, I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? We stand adjourned.